Hi everyone, let's cover my updated Elliott Wave scenarios on Bitcoin on the 4-hour time frame and the 1-hour time frame. And before I begin, I'd like to ask you a question. Is the volume of my microphone too low, or is it okay for you? Because recently I have been messing around with my microphone to increase the quality, but I don't know if the volume is still okay or if it's too low. So please let me know. Now, in general, when we look at this structure here from an Elliott Wave point of view, the probabilities are highest to sooner or later take out the all-time high, because this move to the downside here is a higher probability corrective structure. So in general, the directional bias that we have on a higher time frame is upside. Now then we get to the 4-hour time frame, and I like to begin with the bullish scenario here, where we then have a finished three-wave structure to the downside, a WXY, and look for price to move up. Now there's two ways in which price can currently move towards the upside as it stands: either an impulse 1, 2, look for a 3, then a wave 4 and a wave 5. Finish your wave 1 or A, look for a corrective retracement and continuation to the upside at a later stage. Alternatively, a multi 1-2 where you need a 1, a 2, another 1, a 2, and continuation up. So you're basically looking for a retracement to the downside here, and this retracement has to be a corrective structure. So it has to be a 3-wave messy sideways structure, and then you look for continuation to the upside. The invalidation for, at the moment, pretty much any bullish scenario on the 4-hour time frame is changing the structure and moving below 110.7k. Now the most bullish case, as mentioned, is continuation to the upside, which basically means that on a 1-hour time frame, this is what you're looking for. Now it's at the moment an alternative scenario, but I still want to cover it. So here we then have a wave 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. That is your wave 1. The sideways, a complex structure, WXY in wave 2, followed by another one. You look for another 2 and continuation to the upside in wave 3, which means if you move to the upside, you like to see volume increase, and the resistances that we have just above price should be peanuts, as you expect in a wave 3 to push through those relatively easily. Now those resistances, I'll cover them later in the video. The invalidation for a multi 1-2 to the upside here is 114.1k. Instead, what maybe makes a bit more sense when we look at this structure to the upside, and if we consider a bullish case, then a retracement over the weekend, a sideways range over the weekend, is generally common. During the weekend, price action tends to move in a sideways structure. Of course, it's Friday. The day just started from a Central European time zone point of view, so there's a lot that can happen today. But if we look at this structure just very, very simplistically, like simply, then 1, 2, 3 sideways range here, and then a 4 and possibly your 5 could be in, possibly here. Look for some higher resistances at 116.6, 118k, finish 5, and then move towards the downside. So this is a normal impulse to the upside after 5 retracement, and your most bullish option is a multi 1-2, and you continue towards the upside. Now the bearish scenario on the 4-hour time frame, where you continue the range or look for a larger drop, is a WXY. So you have a 3-wave structure in your W, 3-wave structure in X, look for a 3-wave structure in a wave Y. After wave Y, continue to the upside because you look for new all-time highs. Again, don't forget the overall directional bias on the higher time frame. The trend is very much up. The bull market is still very much on. The probabilities on a weekly, daily time frame remain higher to take out this high. So therefore, it's interesting, of course, to look for long opportunities. Even though price might move to the downside, shorts can always be taken on lower time frames. But of course, the overall bigger directional bias is that we are still looking for price to move up, even if we get a larger corrective structure. Now, in this corrective structure, we're looking for a W, 3-wave X. Inside wave X, we then have a zigzag structure, which is a common structure in a wave X. You have your wave A to the upside, triangle in a wave B, A, B, C, D, and then wave E, and look for a 5-wave move up in wave C. Common target for a wave C between the 1 and the 1.236, 116.1k and 117.4k, which is quite interesting as price has moved into the monthly over here, a time frame horizontal, bit of resistance just below the box. But in the box, we actually still have some resistance, the monthly point of control at 116.6 and just above the 1.236 here at 118, some more high time frame resistance. So makes it an area of interest, of course. If price would move towards the upside here and moves beyond the 1.618 at 119.4k, the probability significantly decreased that this is an ABC to the upside, and we have to seriously consider an impulsive movement in then a wave 1, 2, 3. So then we have 1, 2, you look for a larger 3 and eventually a 4 and a 5 as the higher probability Elliott Wave scenario if that 1.618 is touched. And then I already shortly covered, of course, the 5-wave impulse here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, from an Elliott Wave simplified point of view, the trend and turn method, basically, where you have a bit of a grinding structure in the beginning, you get your move to the upside on an increased amount of volume, then you range sideways, which preferably is your wave 4, and you move up in, at least make a couple more highs, but volume is declining. That is something that is typical for an impulse as well, which can match with this particular count. So this is why at the moment on the 1 hour time frame, 50-minute time frame, I'm mainly keeping an eye on an impulse to the upside as a primary, with the multi 1-2 as a secondary. It depends on also this move down, corrective, impulsive, wave 5 in here or in at a later stage. If it's a multi 1-2, we want to move up on increasing volume. If we're looking for a wave 5, we want to move up on decreasing volume if we get another move to the upside for a wave 5. So these are some things to pay attention to, but we can clearly see this move up here at the highest amount of volume. Currently price is moving to the upside, but does so on a decreasing amount of volume, which makes it interesting to look for a regular impulsive structure. Now then we look at the levels, go to the 4-hour time frame. These are my volume levels on the chart. So feel free to copy them if you like. And then we have time frame horizontal levels. There you go. And then everything combined produces a beautiful mess. Right, but those are horizontal areas of resistance and support, and my volume levels are generally my favorite levels. Now then we have the news. We do have a little bit of news today here, Friday, September 12th, 4 p.m. Central European Time. Make sure you trade safe. It can increase the volatility on the chart. And then in a nutshell, the probabilities. On the weekly daily time frame, we're looking for price to move up and take out that all-time high unrelated to whatever happens here. Finished structure continuation, unfinished structure continuation. The result is the same. We are looking for price to still move up at a later stage. You can also check out the video that I made yesterday, how I trade Bitcoin with Elliott Waves, entry triggers I'm using today. Well, basically also today, yesterday, tomorrow, next week. So you can check this out as I analyze the weekly time frame shortly as well. So we're looking for upside. Now on the 1 hour time frame at the moment, this move to the upside over here, specifically this move, as I CBA counting this at the moment, specifically this move here counts best as a normal impulse to the upside, like a 5-wave structure compared to looking for a multi 1-2 there. So if we consider a 5-wave structure here as the highest probability move, we have to be aware of retracements as well. And if we consider a bullish scenario, we want to see a corrective retracement, 3-wave structures to the downside, at least for the bulls. And if we are bearish, right, we want to see a 5-wave move down motive, followed by a 3-wave correction up, and then you look for continuation to the downside. That is basically the difference. Let the chart do the work, let the chart speak. Now, the main resistances that we have to the upside is 116.6, 118, 121. Main areas of support, 114, 111, and 109K. So that being said, I hope that this video was helpful or valuable to you. On the left, you can see a video on the simplest way to use and trade Elliott Waves without even counting. And on the right is the Elliott Wave educational playlist to help you understand more about Elliott Waves. Thanks for watching and subscribing, and I hope to see you at the next one. Bye-bye.